Scotty Rally. And we are now recording, as you just heard. So I just want to welcome on behalf of DCSR's ZOOMIE program, Lynn Schuster, who I had the privilege of meeting this summer, or I think it was, no, fall. I can't even remember. This year has been one heck of a year for all of us. So I met Lynn, we had coffee, we talked with several board members. She is a leading animal communication expert and teacher. Lynn agreed to do this program for us, and she is the founder of Animal Spirit Talker. As a telepathic animal communicator, Lynn uses a meditative process to hear what animals have to say to her, or what they want to communicate, not just to her, but to the people they live with. She's able to strengthen and bond relationships between animals and their families through this process. Lynn helps people connect on a deeper level with their animals, encouraging love and healing on both the animals, for both the animals and their human families. Lynn lives in Sturgeon Bay. I'm jealous of that. If I went up to Door County, I'd probably go to Sturgeon Bay if I moved there. With her husband, Paul, and their two cats, whose names are Officer and Sky. I'm sure there is a story behind that. She's also the guardian of two horses, Boo and Izzy, who live nearby, and she visits often. She will be at the Door County Scotty Rally in May, and attendees can sign up for a private session ahead of time with Lynn. So be aware of that. This is a special opportunity. And you can read more about Lynn on her website at www.animalspirittalker.com. Or you can just Google her name and this comes up. So today is a special session, as Arnell indicated. Lynn is going to be helping us to learn to begin to communicate with our companion animals. And for most, if not all of us, that's a Scotty or several Scotties. So without further ado, I'll hand the program over to Lynn now. And Arnell, if you want to share her screen, we've got some notes that you can look at if you like. Okay, thank you, Lynn, and I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Oh, thanks. Wow, that's really nice. I'm so glad everybody's here today. Thanks for showing up. As Lori said, I'm a telepathic animal communicator. I have been communicating mindfully with the animals since 2004. And I started my professional business in 2014. So now that is my full-time job, is communicating with the animals. I have clients all over the country and a few overseas as well, which amazes me. I do most of my work distantly. So I use a photograph of, I'd use a photograph of your animal to make the connection. It involves deep belly breathing and a meditative process to connect. I'll either I might see pictures in my mind's eye. I might hear their voices, which usually sound more childlike and innocent than my normal mind chatter. And it's usually back here behind my physical ear that when I hear their voices, rather than my normal mind chatter that I feel is right here, more in the front of my brain. Sometimes I feel their feelings in my heart, and sometimes it's a sense of knowing that something is true. And so without further ado, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. There we go. These are my two horses. This is Boo, and Izzy is the Palomino. So yeah, Boo came to me through my mentor, Rebecca Moravec, who taught me. I studied with her from 2002 until 2014 when she died. She died of cystic fibrosis. So that's how I received the gift of Boo. She couldn't get in the barn anymore. So he came to live with me in 2011. Okay. So as a communicator, here's some of the reasons that you might either take a class or you might call for a session. I find out how your animal's doing, you know, if they've adjusted to recent change or want different food. Usually things go a little deeper than if they're getting enough exercise. But that's a good start. So I find out if they're experiencing pain, fear, anxiety, and how you can help. How are they feeling physically and emotionally? I do a lot of work with emotional issues. I'm not trained in any medical way. So mostly what I do is work with animals with emotional issues. I work with a lot of rescues, helping them to get settled into their new home if they might have trauma. I can help them with that. I recently, last week, not just last week, I've been working with a horse out in the northwest, out in the Oregon area. She's a Mustang, a wild Mustang. She was out wild, but got trapped, or not trapped, but they caught several Mustangs, and she was actually in a kill pen. Don't know why. Anyways, she's been in a rescue for a couple of years, and no one's been able to even touch her. She won't let anyone touch her, except now a friend of mine is been working with her for several months, very slowly. And last week I worked with her to help her relieve some trauma she had around that kill pen. She knew what it was. She knew everyone would be killed, and there was a stallion or gelding that was very, very frightened and kicked and chased other horses and caused just a lot of trauma for her. So we went and looked at that, and I imagined that there was white light in the back of her paddock where she's turned out, and we did some healing around the fear that she's been carrying about humans. I did some guided meditation with her and talked to her about the people that she's with now and how much they love her and want to help her, and that no harm will come to her here. My friend went out and visited her after our appointment, and she said it's the first time ever that Beauty ran back to that part of the paddock and kicked up her heels, which is a sign of joy and freedom, and raced back down to see her. About 3 days ago, my friend held her hand out in this manner, and Beauty put her muzzle on my friend's hand, and they sat like that. They stayed like that for about 5 minutes. It was the first time that Beauty has ever felt bliss, or felt bliss in human captivity. So it was a real moment of change for her, and that to me is amazing. That one, that telepathic animal communication really works, that it's real. It was a great affirmation for me that that I was able to, through my guidance, I was able to help her feel safe and comfortable. But also that when I see things, hear things, feel things, and know things, that that's real. So that to me was just a really positive affirmation, and why I do this work. Um, so sometimes I also work with behavioral issues and how those habits can be addressed. I do a lot of work with animals when they're ready to transition. Helping uh, the animal and their person know if their animal is ready to go, or how they can help, the kind of last words for both of them. Which also, it's very sacred when I talk to the animals when they're ready to transition. Very sacred. And the animals tell me that our transition is our most is our most sacred moment of our life. It's not our birth, which is of course a very important moment. And we, when somebody's born two-legged or four-legged, or birds, wings, or any other creatures, when someone is born, we celebrate. But animals want us to know that there is great celebration in our death. There's always somebody there to help us, to bring us home. We never go alone. Nobody ever goes alone. There's always, usually, many souls there to help us. Um, so it's usually uh, what the animals tell me after, when I talk to them after they've died. It's always a beautiful ceremony. So yeah, so you can discover what your animals' lives were like before they came to you. Lost animals is, for me, is the most um, challenging, because if the animal is truly lost, they're usually scared. Um, and so their fear comes into it, and they don't read street signs. So so I have to look at landmarks that a lot of times look very similar to, could be, almost anywhere. So lost animals are the most challenging for me. However, I have found that when an animal is lost, um if we keep a positive attitude and imagine that they're home with us, and imagine things that we've done with them and our favorite times together, or what their favorite food is, if we imagine that we have a beacon of light coming from our house, and and um and that they know, they feel that, and they know that we want them home. And a lot of times, animals will find their way home before I have a chance to talk to them. And so whenever there's a lost animal, I share that information with their people. And I always love it when they can cancel their appointment because their animal is home. So that's a little bit about how I work, and why you might um, schedule an appointment or take a class or learn more, either from me or somebody else, about animal communication. Um, I feel that I'm going to skip the love meditation for now, but I feel that we were all born to speak to each other telepathically. Um, I feel that we were born with the ability, and that we were socialized to use our words. But in truth, we all have the ability to speak to each other telepathically. Um, it's a matter of dropping down into our hearts, taking a moment to breathe deeply, closing your eyes. My intention is to speak with, for example, my cat Sky. Oh, he was just around here a moment ago. My intention is to speak with Sky, visualizing his picture in my mind's eye. And when I see him moving or animated in my mind's eye, I know I have a connection. And from there, we have a conversation very similar to what we're doing right now. Um, and like I said, I'll either see pictures in my mind's eye. I might hear his voice. Mostly with him, I see pictures in my mind's eye. That is my go-to method. Clairvoyance is clear seeing. As an artist, I grew up as an artist. I've been making things, a fiber artist mostly. You can see my loom in the background. But I've always visualized my artwork in my mind's eye before bringing it to fruition in the physical world. Everything starts there in the imagination. Our imagination is our most important tool. We were taught first we were taught to use our imagination when we were children, to solve a problem or create some art or whatever the case might be. We were told, use your imagination. But if we maybe see something out of the ordinary or something from the unseen world, like sometimes I'll see my cat Haley, who passed about a year and a half ago. I'll see out of the corner of my eye, I'll see her running through the living room. And I know that's her because of what I do. I know that that's her coming to just say hello. I'm here. I'm happy. Um, just saying hi, just checking in. But a lot of times we were taught that, oh, that's just your imagination. It's not real. So my question is then, if I'm supposed to use my imagination to be creative, how can that not be real? Our imagination and our breath is the starting point for animal communication, for any telepathic communication, using our imagination. Our imagination, to me, is right brain thinking. Our left brain is our linear and analytic. We're analyzing everything in our left brain. We need to have that left brain thinking because it keeps us safe. If I'm crossing the street, I'm in my left brain, looking left, looking right, deciding if it's safe for me to cross the street. I need to be in my left brain. But imagination, I also need my right brain thinking because that's where imagination is. Everything that was created in the three-dimensional world began in somebody's imagination. Somebody had to think about the desk that my computer is sitting on and how they might turn those legs. I have a wooden desk, so somebody had to create the legs and decide how, if it was good, if it was going to be round or if it was going to be square, or, how were they going to create those legs? That began in somebody's imagination. We had to think about it first and dream it before it could come into the physical world. So our right brain thinking is very important, our imagination. So right now I'd like to take you through a little bit of, I'm going to show you the love meditation that I use to help me get into that right brain thinking. So if you want to sit Just sit in your chair or on your sofa, wherever you are right now, just allowing your body to relax, feeling your belly rise and fall. It's all about breathing. I call this breathing uh, mindful breathing, feeling your belly rise and fall, mindfully breathing. Normally, we're breathing by default, which is a miracle in itself. It's the breath. Imagine, we breathe all through our lives until our last breath, until we don't. But we don't often think about that we're breathing while we're going through our day, unless there's a problem with that breath. If my nose is stuffed up, or if, people with um, uh, problems, breathing problems. But for many of us, and the majority of us, we have our breath. So feeling your belly rise and fall and just breathing, noticing that breath, allowing the breath to bring you into a peaceful state of non-judgment. When I'm speaking with the animals, it's about non-judgment. I'm just going there as a fact-finding mission. I'm just looking. I'm just letting them know that I want to speak with them, that I'm with their people. I'm imagining their picture in my mind's eye. A lot of times I'll do the love meditation first before I start with the animals. Everything I do comes from a space of love. Everything. I only work in the white light, which to me, the white light is the light of love, pure, unconditional love. It's the light of God. Some people use the word the divine, light of the divine, the creator, whatever is your choice. It comes, everything that I do with the animals comes from that place. So as we're sitting here with our feet flat on the floor, beginning to breathe consciously, breathing deep down into your sacral chakra, just below your belly button, feel your breath, feel your belly rise and fall. Imagining that you're breathing love in through your left palm, and you're bringing that love up through your left arm, across your left shoulder, and into your heart. You're taking in love. Love is eternal. Love is everlasting. Love is unconditional. As you exhale, exhale that love across your right shoulder, down your right arm, and out your right palm. Watch that love expand tenfold, and imagining that it's spinning around you, all around you, protecting you, helping you, loving you, keeping you safe. As you inhale, breathe love in through your left palm. Bring that love up through your left arm, across your left shoulder, and into your heart. And take in extra. As a child of God, you deserve love. You are pure love. Exhale that love across your right shoulder, down your right arm, and out your right palm. And feel that love expand tenfold. Taking another deep breath, bring that love in. Feel it in your body as it fills your whole body cavity. Love, pure, unconditional love. And sending that love out across your right shoulder and down your right arm and out your right palm. Watching it expand tenfold. And this is the place where we can speak to the animals. Continue breathing, visualizing a photograph of your animal in your mind's eye, stating your intention is to speak with them, and just watch, listen, and feel. They always want to talk to you. They love you deeply, and they want you to know that you can do this. Just imagining and breathing in. This is our place of connection. We were truly all born to speak with the animals in this way. Sometimes our telepathic skills have become rusty, but when we drop down into this space, we can truly speak with the animals. Nature is constantly in contact with itself. Animal and plant kingdom speak to each other telepathically. It's their nature. All the other species speak to each other this way. We're the only species that has forgotten. Communicating with an animal is a two-way process. There's a sender and a receiver. And amazingly, the animal communication can be done in person or over a distance. Generally, I speak to the animals over a distance. I prefer to use a picture of the animals rather than having the animal in the same room with me. I find that often when I am in the same room with the animal, all I want to do is pet them or hold them or love on them or look at them. And it takes me it's a little more challenging for me to stay in this place. And I usually sit with my eyes closed. So it's easy for me to use a photograph. When we're speaking with the animals, we're speaking their language. They're so happy to listen to us and join us through their hearts. Just taking a few more deep breaths. It's okay to come back into this room, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Or by all means, stay with your eyes closed as you listen to the rest of the presentation. So when I work with any animal, I treat each one with respect and compassion. I really need to listen to them and not rush the conversation. Remember that you are speaking to the animals telepathically, and that means in your thoughts, using your emotions, your physical feelings, or perhaps pictures in your mind's eye. There's no crystal balls, so you're not a mind reader. You're a communicator. Our field of energy needs to be clear so that we don't, we're not judging from our own perspective. For example, I can't do this, nothing's happening. Something's always happening. And so keeping a clear perspective and a neutral space. And when I receive the information from the animals, I know that um, I need to communicate exactly what they're telling me, not try to analyze what I think they might mean. I need to tell their people exactly. There's a lot of times I receive messages that are they're specifically for their people, and they don't make sense to me. Um, One time I was helping a woman. I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that our animals come back to us. And her dog had passed, and she wondered how to find um, her girl in the reincarnation. How was she going to find her when she reincarnated? And I was talking to her dog, and I heard, um, I gotta think, what did I hear again? I heard her say, wish upon a star. And I thought, oh my God, that's so vague. So, but I said to the lady, to my client, she says, wish upon a star. And my client said, her reaction was, oh my God, you're freaking me out right now. I can't believe you said that. Because her dog's, the mother of her dog, her registered name was something something wish upon a star. And nobody knew that. So there was no way I could know that. And so she ended up going back to her original breeder and to find her next fur baby. And she believes that she was reconnected with her dog, the one that had passed. So we always want to make sure that we tell exactly exactly what the animal has to share. Okay, so there was my animals. I think I covered this already. Sometimes the conversations can go really fast. The animals live in the moment. So they don't need to analyze things like we do, like humans. And so sometimes the information comes in really, really fast. And that's when I have a tendency to want to analyze it because I can't believe that it's happening this fast. But I have to remember that the animals talk to each other this way all the time. And so, when you think that you are hearing, seeing, feeling something, you are. It's real. So try not to discount yourself. One of the ways that I use to make sure that to help me with that so that I don't start discounting myself is I do a lot of journaling. And I write down, usually write down the date and any information. And so that I can go back and look at my journal and see how often I am truly getting information that, there's not this can't be a coincidence, like wish upon a star. There's no way that I could have known that. And that is one that I carry with me often when I start to judge myself. Yeah, I think, let's see, we've got about 25 minutes. So let's see if there's questions. I know there's questions. I see 5 in the chat room. So should we start the question?
Yeah, sure, we can start. I put in the very first question. I'm curious whether or not you find a difference in dogs in their breeds in how they tend to communicate, whether there's any difference that you have perceived, or if it's more an individualistic thing for each dog.
That's a great question, because it's really kind of individual for each dog. And actually, I talk to all species, and what I've noticed is talking to dogs or cats or horses, they all communicate in the same way. What I can, it's so not so much species. Sometimes there's a little bit of a difference because different species have different energy generally. Like some dogs are really more laid back and cuddly, and others want to herd you. Others may be herd animals where they need a lot of exercise and they're racing around. So what I do notice is when I speak to each animal there's definitely a difference in their personality, just like people. So, so, um, that always amazes me that I can tell the difference between the different animals. Um, it's so yes, if you're talking to one versus another, there's a different tone, a different feeling, even a different feeling inside my body, a whole different energy um, about that. So yes, I can always tell that I'm talking. If I switch to a different animal, there is definitely a difference in the way it feels.
Yeah, I've had very few experiences, only a couple of experiences with an animal communicator, and one of them told me the first thing she said, what she communicated from my Scotty Emma was, I was wondering why she was really not present to me after her death, because other Scotties had been. Um, and the communicator said, well, she's very busy. And that was, an exact description of this dog. She always had an agenda, and
Mhm,
God help you if you weren't part of it, we weren't towing the line. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
mhm.
That's an interesting thing to realize, that they all have different ways of different energies as they communicate, as we all do.
Mm,
That's good
yeah,
and good
yeah,
to know. We
yeah,
have a,
and
go
they
ahead.
all they also, some animals I see more pictures from, some I hear their voices as predominant, some I feel their feelings. So those are our, what I call our clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. And we all have those senses, those metaphysical senses. So yes, that makes perfect sense that you'll feel or hear or see different things from your animals. Mhm.
We have a question from Juliana, asking, what was your first experience communicating with animals? What was it like? And what was your own reaction to this realization that you could communicate with them?
Yeah, I love that question because so that my very first class that I took, I went in like probably most people do. This is going to happen for everybody else, but not for me. Other people are going to get information, but not me. Um, but I'm going to still try it, but don't be surprised, Lynn, you know. So my first, I was in a class, and I had never met anybody else in the class except for my teacher. And I picked a photograph of a dog. It was a woman in Chicago, and our challenge, or our homework was to speak with the animals and ask them to show them around their house or their favorite places. And so this dog showed me a back a deck out in his backyard, and the swing set, and there were hardwood trees. And since it was Chicago, it looked like, it looked like Midwest. So, and then all of a sudden we switched to he showed me the house, a house on the side of the mountain, and there was a deck on three sides of the house, and this really, really, really tall railing. I mean, it was really tall railing. And then I started second guessing myself. Well, that's not Chicago. So this can't be right. Because Chicago doesn't have mountains. It does have snow, but it doesn't have mountains. Um, and the woman, so I was telling the woman, this is what this is what happened. And she said, her mouth dropped open, and she said, hold on a second. She opened her wallet and got out a picture of their second home in Colorado on the side of a mountain, with a deck that went three sides all the way, three sides of the house. And my first thought was, well, what I saw wasn't right because that railing was really, really tall. So I'm still second guessing myself and still analyzing. And then I realized her dog is really short. I wa- I was looking through her dog's eyes. You know, her dog was showing me how tall the railing was. So that was my very first, time talking to an animal, which amazed me that I got, so that much. Yeah, I got something spot on, that I couldn't possibly know. But of course, then I second guessed myself, the next time. So, but yeah, that was, thanks for the hand clap, Juliana. Yeah, but that's a great story. So thank you for that.
So you had mentors as you were learning to do this. You took classes. I didn't even know there were classes for animal computer. Well, we're having one now, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Something.
Yeah, yeah. My mentor, Rebecca Moravec, lived in when she was alive, she lived in southern Wisconsin. So my friend Sue asked me if I wanted to take a Reiki class. My mentor taught Reiki as well. I didn't know what Reiki was. I thought it was reflexology, and I didn't think I would use that afterwards because I didn't think I wanted to work on other people's feet. But I wanted to spend the weekend with my friend Sue. So I went, and then during the class, I was like, what how come we're not talking about feet? I don't belong here. I don't know what I'm doing. Again, that fear of, I can't do this, everybody else can do this. But after that first class, I was hooked. And I took Reiki level 2, Reiki level 3. Then I started animal communication with her, and I ended up doing 2-year-long studies with Rebecca on shamanic journey work, which also included more telepathic animal communication and things like soul retrieval and past life regression and other very, very sacred things to me. So yeah, I studied with her from 2002 until her passing in 2014. And if she was still alive, I think I would still be there with her. So yeah, so finding a mentor for me was very important.
I loved your explanation of imagination and how that's real and how that um, helps you and helps us, I think,
Mhm,
to accept that this is real, because
mhm.
that doubt is always there. It's I think, as you said, we're socialized to speak in words, and I think we're also socialized to doubt these things, like, that's not real. What are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you
Mhm,
doing? Your
mhm,
imaginary friend or whatever.
mhm,
But obviously there's a big desire there for us to go back to this. We have another post from chat in the chat room from Juliana, of her beloved Monty, and that this is, something that is
mhm,
in her heart to be able to communicate. And also a message from a comment from Kristen Mowers, who says, we can communicate with animals that are over the Rainbow Bridge. That's amazing. I hope to be able to communicate with my Maddie Ann someday. And how can we, I'm wondering if you could just riff a little bit on how our desire to be connected with animals that have passed over um,
mhm.
can can help us.
So here's what's happening right now. You can see, probably if you can see, I know I'm little on the screen, but as soon as you asked that question, I could feel, is it Maddie Ann? Is that her dog?
Maddie Ann, yeah, and Juliana shared about her
Oh,
mom.
okay. Oh, Maddie Ann because I don't have all
Maddie
the.
Ann is from Kristen,
Okay, got it. Okay,
and yeah,
got it.
okay.
I can feel her heart. I can feel the love pouring through as you ask that question. She is right here, right now with you. And then so the visual I'm getting right now is all these animals of everybody in this group that have passed are all gathered around. It's like they're all sitting on the floor by you, watching your screen, watching TV with you. What happened just now is my heart opened so wide, my eyes teared up. And I can hardly talk for a moment. There's so much love. I know that I have a connection with your animals who have passed. Not only because my heart opened, but also because the visual, I just snapped in like that, a visual of all the animals. I forgot the question now.
I was asking about, I was wondering if our love and desire to communicate with those who have passed was helpful to us in establishing that communication.
Yes. And so, yeah, what the animals show me after they've passed is there's a 3-day initiation period. So for the first 3 days, the animals go into what I see as, I call it the spiritual car wash. It's a white, to me, it looks like a car wash building, a rectangle of white light. So I call it the spiritual car wash because I can see them going in, but I can't see what happens in there, just like a car wash with the brick because it's cinder block. But I can see them coming out, just like a car wash. But I feel that what happens in there is our vibration is raised to that of the heavens because there is so much pure unconditional love in that space that we go back to, that we can't hold that much love in our physical bodies. But when I talk to animals when they've passed, that's usually what happens is I have that heart opening. They're showing me, this is where I'm at right now. This is how I feel right now. I'm giving you just like a little dropper of, of what it feels like to be here, and that I am so deeply connected with you that we will always, always be together. After the 3 days initiation period, then I can speak with the animals again, and they usually show me themselves in their favorite bodies. So if they were sick when they died, or if they were old, or whatever the circumstance was that caused initiated their passing, I see them in their most healthiest bodies, and they're always so happy to connect. More so after they've passed. I think they're so happy to connect than when we connect with them here, when they're still here in physical body. But yeah, it's amazing to speak with the animals after they've passed.
Monica asked the question, do beloved animals that have passed and then become reincarnated try to find us? And as a little follow-up to that, I was wondering too about reincarnation. Once they've reincarnated, can you communicate with them as they were in the body that you knew them in?
So yeah, and that, because first I'll answer the second part first. Yeah, I can communicate with them as they were when you knew them in the first body. I can communicate with them as the animal that is passed, and I can communicate with them also as the animal in their new body, even though it's the same soul.
Okay.
The animals always tell me, don't worry, I will find you. What I what I believe is that before we incarnate into these bodies, we make contracts with each other. I love you so much, I will find you in this manner. I love you so much, I will teach you about jealousy. I love you so much, I will teach you about unconditional love. I love you so much that I will teach you about anger, and so on. So we make these contracts sign them. But when we, as we are born, when we come through and we're born, we have spiritual amnesia. We don't remember those contracts. Because boy, if I knew what I was getting myself into in this lifetime, I kind of think, and there's sometimes when I think, what was I thinking? Oh my God. But I sure have learned a lot. So I can see where maybe some of those more painful places have accelerated my growth, but ooh, yikes. So back to the original question though, our animals, they'll find us. So I always tell my clients, when you're ready to bring another animal into your home, they will find you. You will have an inkling that, oh, I should look here. Or like with my cat Sky, my cat Haley passed a year ago. Well, it was a year ago, December. And so last March, I was ready to have, I needed to have another companion. And so my husband and I started looking at the Humane Society up here in Door County, and there were only a couple of cats, and they didn't quite fit for me. They didn't fit me, I didn't fit them. So my husband was in Green Bay at a doctor's appointment, and by chance he stopped at PetSmart, which is affiliated with the Humane Society. And he saw that there was a black cat, the kitten there, 6 months old, and he called me. First he left PetSmart because I wasn't there with him to choose Sky, but he had such an inkling, that he should get Sky. He called me and said, what should I do? And I said, well, if you feel like he needs to come home with us, bring him home. So I met Sky when he brought him home. And Sky's not Haley, but Sky is a cat that passed before Haley. Gilly, my cat Gilly. And I didn't realize it was Gilly until finally Sky was here for, oh gosh, a couple of months. And he finally said, I can't believe you haven't figured out it's me yet. So Gilly found me.
Do you find that certain animals, after they pass, are more present for their humans by, communicating or giving them feelings? Or even, I actually had one animal that I kept thinking I saw him down the hallway, peeking around the corner. And then when another Emma, the busy one, passed, she was gone. It was like she was just freaking gone. And it hurt my heart so much that that's when I got in touch with the animal communicator. But I came to learn that she would do what I call drive-by appearances for me, where she'd be there and then she'd be gone. So do you find that that's generally true, that some animals are more present and maybe more present right after they pass, or come at a certain point?
Yeah, exactly. Some are just like, don't leave their person's side. I mean, they're like clinging to their, to their ankle, and constantly with them. And others are busy. They're preparing, it's like they have something they need to learn. They're off doing some other kind of work. Some animals are greeters for anybody who's for the new souls, the souls that are just passing, because it's a lot of times there's like a parade for the souls coming in. So there's a lot of greeters. But yeah, that's definitely true. And my dad, both my parents passed in 2015. My dad comes in often, he and his dog Libby, to help me, especially with rescue animals. And my dad will stay with the animal for quite some time after our session. he'll take care of them. For I see my dad, and I hear. So this I talk to humans as well as animals after they've passed, but which I didn't know. I had no idea I could do that. But it's all the same soul. I mean, we're all white light souls. We all go to the same place. And my mom is very busy learning something for her next incarnation. So I very seldom have contact with my mom. But my dad, it comes in all the time. Most of my animals are busy doing things that have my animals that have passed, but they do come, I'm aware of them being here, at certain times. So it varies. Some animals are guardian angels for their people, or like totems for their people, and are always there like 100% of the time, and others are, busy doing things.
I have a quick question. In regards to, I think Lori brought it up about being open and being communications. We're doing a lot of talking about the animal's soul and white light once they passed, and them coming to us. But I found both with animals and as well as humans, for us to hear them, to receive them, we must be open to that. And sometimes all of us have loved an animal so much, or we've loved a human so much, that grief blocks it. And I cry only because I, like you, I well up when I feel things around me. So I'm not crying because I'm sad. And I just think it's so important for us to rather than grieve and miss them so much, to learn to live with the love they left with us, and to open that up. And you will all of a sudden think like, oh my gosh, they come and are welling you over with their presence. So do you find that also?
Absolutely. And what in the unseen world, in the heavens, we all have, this is very along that same line, we all have guardian angels, we all have angels and guides in the white light. And I will only talk to those in the white light. But our guides and angels, and I think also our ancestors and our animals, we have to ask for help. We have to ask them. They cannot intervene unless we ask for help.
Oh,
and so we have to be able to open our hearts and ask, and with love. And you're absolutely right that grief sometimes, even when I ask, if I'm grieving so much, my heart is still, it's hard to open my heart again because there's grief. And so laying down that burden.
And it takes a lot of energy for them to
It
break
does.
down that
Right.
barrier or that wall.
And so, yep.
And I think
Go
that's
ahead.
a point that you brought up, is that once someone has passed through the veil and is on the other side, as much as they want to talk to us, if we have not given open permission, we have, I call them our guardians at the gate for us. So we can't get that in, even though they want to, and it's a protection, and to be and to allow them in when you want them.
Right. They love us so much that they have to wait for us to allow. And allow is a word that I use a lot. A friend of mine who is very like-minded, a very like-minded soul like me, our buzzword is allow. Just I need to allow things to unfold, allow help for somebody to help me, both here in the seen world and the unseen world. allow things to unfold, allow myself to grieve if I need to grieve, allow myself to be joyful if I feel joyful. Just allowing, just allow. Mhm.
Oh, well, I bet we're all sitting here with a lot of joyful memories and some sadness too. I wish we could go on forever, but we try to be respectful of people's times. So we are at the hour point. This program has been recorded and will be on our Door County Scotty Rally YouTube station, so you can access it once we get it up. It usually takes us about a week. But I really want to thank Lynn for being here and also for agreeing to come to Rally so that people can have an opportunity to meet her with her in person. Lynn has also very generously donated 2 certificates or opportunities to have a reading with her or have a communication session with her that we will be using at auctions to fundraise for Door County Scotty Rally's mission. My heart is so full, and I'm so thankful that we had the opportunity to be able to learn from you. We're getting lots of comments in the chat. Thank you for this program. And I know it means a lot to so many of us who've had animals who've passed. And Arnell, I appreciated your input too, and everybody else's questions. So we're going to, with that, we're going to close our program and thank everyone for being here. It was such an enjoyable way to spend an hour on Saturday morning.
Thank you. I'd just like to say, if anybody wants to read more or check out my website, it's animalspirittalker.com. You can, if you'd like to, you can sign up for my free report. I talked to 10 of my favorite totem animals, and you can get my free report, but mainly it gets you on my mailing list. I send out 1 newsletter a month. And always, you can read my blogs. I have lots of stories about the animals there as well. And then my newsletter contains my schedule. So if I have classes on there, just, some information about me. So thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to the Scotty Rally and meeting you in person. So
Thank you so much, Lynn. I just want to say, anyone who's already signed up for the rally and didn't know that we have Lynn going to be there in person at the our website at the attend, you can go in and pick up your registration. The times will be sent out to those people who they can sign up for their own time. If you haven't signed up yet for rally, we still have some spots open. We have limitation in registration, but they're closing quickly. But thank you again, Lynn, so much. And it really has been a wonderful week, start to the weekend and filling our week.
okay. And I just saw somebody, I think Mary just posted, if you could post my website.
I just put it in.
Oh, there it is. Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you.
And Lynn has not been at Rally before. We have had another animal communicator at Rally sometimes in the past, but this would be the first time for Lynn, and we're so pleased that she's was able to set aside that time for us. So
Thank you.
Thanks again,
oh,
Lynn.
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, this was wonderful, Lynn. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.